Now, anyone who's anyone knows about these crypt creeper looking motherfuckers who skulk about in dusty dungeons and dirty doorways, all mummified looking like Imhotep just before he bodied all those treasure hunters, like he was one of the witches in Hocus Pocus stealing up their life force and shit. Now these mummified, crusty fuckers seem to live forever, but not because they're sucking the life out of preteens and shit, no. However, they do look anorexic as fuck, like they haven't eaten in 1,000 years, and I bet if you kicked them right in the armpit, they'd cry like a little bitch. Now, most people just think these creepy geriatric-looking motherfuckers are just angry because they live in a fucking basement with a bunch of old dusty cunts. But truth is, there's more to them than just that. In fact, they have this crazy secret daily ritual that they perform that almost no Skyrim players know about, despite countless hours in the game. Honestly, I had no idea the Draugr had a life outside of just being old as fuck. I figured they were always so upset because they were guarding a treasure or couldn't find their dentures, or because their balls look like raisins in the sun. Either way, I figured their whole world started and ended when I disturbed their slumber. Like if I didn't come through, they'd just be laying in their tombs like a bunch of normal corpses. You know, all dilapidated and decaying and shit. So the Draugr are these undead Nordic warriors of Skyrim. But what do they do when nobody's looking, you know? Turns out it's nothing like the sick, lascivious shenanigans I find myself balls deep in when I'm alone and nobody's looking. They actually have lives and a purpose in Skyrim other than scaring the fuck out of me after I've had a few beers and decide to play a dungeon in the dark. The Draugr's purpose is to look after the Dragon Priest. For those of you who don't know who the Dragon Priests are, they're these crusty old wizards that look wrote off as fuck. Like they were drinking for 100 years and the hangover hit them all at once. They also float around and cast spells and shit because how else are you gonna get laid in fucking Narnia or whatever fictitious fairy tale this is? The Dragon Priests don't give a fuck. They were appointed by the dragons to rule over humanity because nothing says I give a shit about humanity like appointing creepy poltergeist-looking motherfuckers to hold your torch while you hibernate. Well, these Dragon Priests can't just stay in tip-top spellcasting condition, ready to Voldemort up the Dragonborn, without someone to dust off their balls every 24 hours, apparently. And who better to maintain these spooky old religious thunder dicks than a bunch of Joe Biden-looking motherfuckers? Turns out each day the Draugr have like a daily routine that they go through in order to keep the Dragon Priest ready when the Dragonborn comes back and gets all rowdy and shit. And apparently, keeping a 1,000-year-old skeleton from dying or falling apart is not an easy task. So the Draugr get up every day and get to work making sure these mass magicians get all perky and shit. They do this by cleaning and tending to the graves of the priests. They also give them part of their very life force, which is likely why they look like they've been sucked dry by a vampire vacuum cleaner set to high. The Draugr are literally one skip salad away from cardiac arrest. It's no joke. These fuckers need some Ativan or to be put on an IV pronto. Put it this way, if a Draugr walked into an emergency room at the hospital, they'd just come out with the paddles or whatever and a big needle filled with thoughts and prayers. Point is, they look deader than fuck. Yet they wake up every day and they cook and clean and rub the Dragon Priest's inner chota, just like a good little undead zombie bitch boy. This whole time I thought they were just a bunch of angry zombies with rusty armor and loud singing voices. But it turns out they're actually a bunch of crusty custodians who have to fluff up a magical pervert for all eternity. Come to think about it, I'd be a little rowdy too. However, I'd also dart the fuck out of there as soon as the door opened. I'd say, fuck doing this Dragonborn shit, I'm out of here. I'm gonna get a job in a haunted house or a library or some shit. Well, during your adventure in Skyrim, you can't avoid encountering these terrifyingly powerful dragon priests. These creatures, formerly rulers elected by dragons to rule over humanity, have slept thousands of years inside their crypts, waiting for a revival of the old days to come once more. So each day the Draugr awaken, clean and tend to the graves of their priests, as well as give part of their very life force to the Dragon Priests in order to sustain their frail soy boy bitch bodies until the arrival of the Dragonborn. Draugr are undead Nordic warriors of Skyrim. It's believed that Draugr once served the Dragon Priest. Some even know several words of power. Even the ones that don't know any words of power can still make really loud, obnoxious noises or grunt like hookers. And if you tickle their butthole, sometimes they moan in a high-pitched, childlike voice, but only on very rare occasions. Draugr are amongst the most common foes in Skyrim. They can be found in crypts and catacombs. They retain the ability to wield weapons such as swords, axes, and bows, and higher-ranked Draugr can even use dragon shouts, most notably unrelenting force, or they can use fucking magic. So to put it lightly, you can't just walk up to a Draugr and punch them right in the penis. No. They know how to defend themselves, and their dicks are probably all mummified to their balls or made of dust or some shit by now. I mean, look at these things. They're older than fuck. Now, most Draugr use ancient Nordic weapons, although the higher-ranking variants can use ebony weapons. And I bet those fuckers can't stop bragging about it either, whether it's face-to-face or in their diaries late at night. Like, Dear Diary, today marks yet another day where I'm awesome because I have ebony weapons, and all those other wrinkly raisin people are walking around with those dusty relics like a bunch of dipshits. Also, a girl talked to me today, and I think I'm gonna cry about it later when nobody's looking. Some Draugr only appear as corpses, usually containing a few pieces of gold. They are broke as fuck. Because let's face it, getting gainful employment can be tough when you smell like old socks and don't have a fucking pulse. Now, Draugr are weak to silver weapons, but who isn't really? Have you ever been hit in the face with a giant block of silver? It doesn't feel like the Easter Bunny's jerking you off. No. It feels painful and hurts a lot. It will knock you right down on your cheeks. Now, the Draugr loots includes a chance of bone meal, jewelry, gems, soul gems, ignits, and potions. Their armor can be crafted at the Skyforge and Whiterun after completing the companion's quest, Glory of the Dead, or found in these locations. Amongst the Draugr is a book by Bernadette Bantine, a mage from the College of Winterhold. She reports her studies on the subject. She tried to live amongst the Draugr like the scientist lady did with the gorillas. But instead of being in the jungle, this lady thought hanging out in graveyards and catacombs would be a good way to spend her time. Needless to say, Bernadette was a fucking bundle of fun. In her book, she writes, it's taken several months to learn how to be able to approach the Draugr without being regarded as a threat. I'd imagine this was difficult at first, as trying to give a zombie a lollipop or a Snickers bar would probably just get them all horny or something. But if she played her cards right and gave them something they really wanted, like mall walking sneakers or a DVD collection of Murder, She Wrote, they'd likely be all over her and welcome her with open arms. Now, she did find it hard to understand their language, because let's face it, having a viable language when your face is fucking decomposing is hard to do. Now, I know when somebody has a lisp, I have to get them to repeat themselves at least several times just to make sure they actually see me behind their shower curtain. Fuck, that's awkward. Now, Bernadette stated that she had always wondered why the ancient priests of the dragon cult insisted that their followers be buried with them, until noticing every day a different set of Draugr would awaken and prostrate themselves before the priest's sarcophagus, after which they would meticulously clean the area. Their dedication after death also seemed to explain why they so ferociously defend their chambers. After further observation, she reports that when the group of Draugr came to pay homage to their fallen leaders, a distinct flow of life force could be noted between the priests and their followers. What's that look like? Were they coming on the sarcophagus? The second eternal life of the dragon cult was only promised to those who ascended to priesthood, while the lesser functionaries contributed their life force to sustaining them for all eternity. Wow, that fucking sucks. Now, directly quoting her from her book, she says, I don't know what sort of external wellspring they draw from, but it's clear that the Draugr carry only the barest whisper of life in them, and it rekindles nightly while resting in its niche. I now believe that the grotesque forms that we see in the barrow were in fact buried fully as men and women, and only over thousands of years that have passed withered into the wretched things we now know. Now, if we had visited a barrow directly after its construction, we might not even know that the inhabitants were actually dead. Draugr come in a number of variants. The specific type that is encountered is typically level dependent. However, lower level Draugr can still be encountered at higher levels, but they get bodied like little bitches. All Draugr are immune to poison and bleeding damage, mainly because they're fucking dead already, with the additional attribute of possessing 50% resistance to frost. However, the Ebony Male and the Targ of the Blooded can respectively be used to poison them and cause bleeding damage. Until the Master of the Mind perk is obtained, all Draugr will be immune to illusion spells. They don't fall for that tricky David Blaine bullshit. In battle, higher level Draugr make extensive use of Unrelenting Force Shout. They yell a lot. Although the ability can throw off a sword swing or an aimed arrow, it typically does not knock the Dragonborn off balance. Draugr can be detected by using the Detect Dead spell or the Aurora Whisper. While using a powerful attack on or casting a Frenzy spell at a closed coffin containing a Draugr can cause it to emerge without harming the Dragonborn. If the Dragonborn has a high enough sneak skill, it is possible to crouch walk towards a sleeping Draugr and successfully kill them with just one hit. Now, Draugr are some of the very few humanoid enemies who are unaffected by decapitation. That's right, you can cut their fucking heads off and they'll walk around. The 3 shouts Draugr use are Unrelenting Force, Frost Breath, and Disarm. They can be countered by any ward spell, spell breaker, or absorbed using spell absorption. Draugr possess a 50% resistance to frost damage, are immune to poison, and are unaffected by illusion spells unless the Dragonborn has the Master of Mind perk. Draugr are like a gross one-night stand that sticks around for 13 years and keeps asking for child support even though you don't have kids together. Draugr are fitness influencers who have no idea that their diet has gone way too fucking far. Draugrs are disgusting. There is no easy way to say this, but they are just fuck ugly. Like, I'm not saying looks matter, but if you look like a Draugr, then looks definitely matter. Imagine showing up to a blind date looking like you just crawled out of a 300-year-old dusty coffin. Let's just say sharing a plate of nachos isn't going to gloss over the awkward smell of dead people in the air. Imagine your religion was so fucked up that when you died, you didn't even get to die. Your body just kept you alive as some sort of undead slave creature designed to jerk off some old priest so they can stay alive long enough to get bodied by a dragon person. Draugr carry the barest whisper of life, like they're only one fart away from shitting their soul out of their body. Thanks again for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to bitch slap that subscribe button like it's 3 weeks behind on your rent. Bitch! Where's the money, bitch? Where's the money? Where is it? Also, go ahead and hit that bell icon too, because apparently YouTube thought there should be extra steps. Why not, right?
I'd like to subscribe, but first I have to click this and do this. Oh, it needs an email. All right, and this. Okay, fuck. Just tell me when he's uploading. Fuck!
Once you do all that, if you're lucky, at the stroke of midnight, a tiny little Averagebaters fairy might come and tickle your butthole. I hope to see you all again next time, and remember to keep on average baiting, baby.